welcome back. It's been a while since I've done a podcast / interview, guys. So today I thought I'd do a bit more special. And I know most of you are huge Tesla followers. You started investing in Tesla in 2020. But if you invest in Tesla and you're still not on Twitter, you need to follow this man called Jason DeBolt, because today's session, I've managed to invite Jason, and he's kindly accepted my invitation to come on this video today. And really, Jason has done quite a few videos with Hey Dave, really good interview segment. But this segment, I want to be slightly different. I want to ask about how to retire early with Jason DeBolt. So Jason, thank you very much and welcome to the show. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, if nobody knows Jason, you need to follow his Twitter. Jason, I'll pass it over to you. Tell me your story about your early retirement with your investment, Tesla.
Sure. So I'll give it a little bit of background. I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and went to college in Los Angeles. Yes. Graduated with a business economics degree, and then I joined Google. So I worked at Google for about 10 years and kind of worked my way up from being kind of like a low-level employee that wasn't an engineer to actually becoming a software engineer. So that was about 10 years. And all during that time, I was saving my money and investing. And I discovered Tesla during that time as well. And I started to invest in Tesla. And I ordered a Tesla Model S. And that's when I realized that how amazing this company was and how great of an opportunity it was to invest in. And I loaded up on shares starting in 2013. My first kind of tranche of shares was about 2,500 shares split adjusted at $7.50 per share. Yes. So that was a $19,000 initial, and it's currently worth, I don't know, a few million. Yeah. Maybe it's down, maybe it's in the one point something million now, but that was my first purchase. And then I just continued to buy shares through, between 2013 and 2020. So it's just been a story of just sitting tight, being patient, and buy and hold. My story is just a long-term buy and hold story. Between 2014 and 2019, depending on how you look at, depending on which dates you choose in those 2 years, I lost 25% of my investments holding Tesla. So it was, kind of the road to being successful as an investor for me wasn't a smooth one. It was more like a breakout one that all broke out last year in 2020. So I knew that a breakout would happen someday, but I just didn't know it would take so long. I got in pretty early, and I just kind of sat tight. And I did a ton of research during this time. I was pretty much obsessed with Tesla. I was researching it constantly in my free time and watching all the interviews, all of Elon's interviews, listening to all the earnings calls, and just being patient. And it wasn't as hard as you would think. It sounds painful, just going all those years without having anything to show for it. But I thought there was a lot of there's a big delta between the perceived risk that everyone else thought about Tesla versus the real risk. I thought the real risk was much lower. And so that's kind of what allowed me to hold on. I knew that the company was way undervalued, and I just continued to hold. So.
Oh, okay. Wow, incredible to be holding. I mean, holding it through between 2013 to 2018, because I started buying Tesla back in 2016 as well. 16, 17, 18, but I wasn't buying Tesla to hold. I was swinging Tesla, because you notice a trend cycle. I was swinging Tesla, but today, obviously, I feel a bit stupid now. I should have swung Tesla. So it must be how difficult to stomach the volatility for Tesla going up and down, and the days where Elon was doing tweets just to get the market up and down. How difficult or easy was it? How do you discipline yourself to hold?
Yeah. So the most important kind of organ for for investing isn't your brain. It's not your intelligence. It's your stomach. And Peter Lynch talks about this all the time. And it's a muscle. It's something that grows over time. It's not something you're going to get overnight. If I just handed my portfolio over to somebody and they lost, $1 million in a day, they could get physically ill. It's like it's just really painful for some people because it takes time to build up your stomach and being able to handle volatility. So there's a certain type of callousness that builds up, and you, at some point, like it doesn't really matter. Even if you've done a ton of research, even if you've done a lot of research, and you may know more about Tesla than I do. But you still might not have that stomach, right? That's something that's kind of unique, and it really, builds up over time.
Okay.
And you see a pattern with the stock that you're holding with Tesla. There's been so many dips and breakouts, like I can't even count. I've just lost track of them, and we just you just hold on and just don't sell.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you very much for that, Jason. Thank you. I mean, how do you deal with? I'm sure you've done business studies, you've read lots of business books, and the key word that people challenge me nowadays, because I'm still on a concentrated portfolio. I've gone away of the days of Warren Buffett type diversification. So the key word is diversification. I mean, if somebody comes up and speaks to you and says, "Why are you not diversified?" How do you tell them that you don't need to diversify? Because I'm trying to convince people that concentrated portfolio should be. Yeah, more like it's high risk, but it's also a good chance for you to sprout.
I think everyone should start out diversified.
Yes,
and I think it's a good starting point. And some people just should remain diversified because they never will develop that stomach. I mean, this is all about psychology and having a stoic mindset. Not getting too excited when things are going well, not getting depressed when things aren't going well. So you just need to be kind of flatline, right? So
that's right.
So I think that, and some people just inherently can't handle volatility. It's just something about them. They just, they have a certain, they seem to think that it's their money. The money that they invested is their money. It's not your money anymore. You've deployed it as capital. It's like it would be, if you were to sell Tesla right now after the dip, it's like walking into the factory and demanding your robot be disassembled and sold. It's like, no, it's deployed capital.
I like that. I like that.
Just like let it sit. It takes time to grow. And, so just be patient. But I think diversification is important in the beginning. And over time, you can kind of slowly concentrate to the point where you're comfortable. I think for some people can go all the way like me and just go with the single stock. If they do happen to find that stock, there's no guarantee you're going to find a Tesla. Like I got a little bit lucky in the beginning finding Tesla. So the best way to find the next Tesla is to move to a city like Austin or the Bay Area or somewhere or Boston, where there's a lot of innovation. And you just need to talk with a lot of people, go to a lot of events. And at some point you're going to run into the next, maybe not Tesla, but something that's going to give you 10x or maybe even 100x returns, like some company that is maybe going to go IPO. You need to it's almost like dating. If you want to find a beautiful girl or an amazing guy, you need to move to a city where you're in like a target rich environment. Right. So you want to be in like a target rich environment, Santa Monica, right? there's, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, good luck. Right. So you need to be in an area where there's a lot of innovation. Palo Alto is just like, that's an incredible place to be. Just move to Palo Alto, get an apartment, get connected, start talking with people, try to get a job. And then over time, like the way I got exposed to Tesla was a fair, like it was like a county fair, right? So the Maker Fair in 2009. And I just, I drove up and down El Camino Real every day and I saw the Tesla sales center and I ordered a Tesla. That's how I got exposed to Tesla. I was in the right place. And if you're living in Hawaii, good luck finding innovative companies that come out of, no offense to Hawaii. I love Hawaii, but it's just like, you got to be in the right spot. So,
it's a very good point. Very good point. Thank you. It's experience sharing, really, is it? You don't find it from books. Wow. That's really good. That's really good. I'm going to tell this to my kids.
Yeah. And books are great for certain types of knowledge, like fundamental truths, things that are like really fundamental. But for like the cutting edge stuff, things at the very edge of knowledge, what Naval would call specific knowledge, are in people's heads, and they're not really shared. They're not accessible. So to access those things, you need to hop on Clubhouse calls or physically like talk to people or go on Twitter and engage people, go on YouTube, watch the right interviews. All this information is available. A lot of it is available on the internet, but even more out on the edge is actually to talk to people.
The one step closer.
So books are great, but like, books are not going to help you find the next Tesla. They're going to help you kind of be a good investor, but they're not going to help you find those opportunities. I think you need to get out there.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much. I've made that note. I'm going to pin it on my wall. Great. Thank you. I mean, let's talk about early retirement. So you are in a very good situation. Did you plan this early retirement? Do you know that it was coming? Or when was the trigger point you knew that I'm going to retire? When was that point that you knew that you're going to... you got a good job as well, by the way. You work in one of the biggest companies in the world. And to hang your boots up, it's quite a hard decision, I would say.
Yeah, my focus was never really retiring early. I just tried to find the best investment I could and to see where that went. But I think I had an original retirement goal of like retiring at 46 with about $4 million. That was my original goal. But these goals are kind of meaningless because they're not super actionable. And you can't really plan. Like sometimes it's hard to plan for retirement because I mean, unless you're investing in, say, a broad index, right? Like that has predictable returns, maybe you can plan. It's going to take longer. But if you're investing if you're concentrating and you're taking a lot of risk and there's a lot of volatility, it's hard to plan around that. And also it's even maybe hurt you to plan. Like you kind of shouldn't have any expectations in the short run at all. If it happens, great, you can try to retire early, but you should also expect that it may not happen and it may take longer than you expect. So planning, I think, is a little bit overrated. It's funny because like when you talk with the financial advisor, they highly emphasize planning and all this stuff.
I know.
But I mean, it's not going to be like you're not going to, planning isn't necessarily going to help you if you want to go my route, which is concentration, enormous risk, a lot of volatility.
Great. But the thing is, I was hoping that you helped me break this taboo about retirement. So I've spoken to lots of people retiring, like you said, in financial advisor. They want you to buy lots of insurance. They want you to pay off your mortgage. They want you to make sure you reduce your debt. You know, that typical textbook route. But for me, retirement meaning, for me, my version of retirement is quit your 9-to-5 job and then use the time you have to do stuff that you really want to do. Do you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah,
with you in the situation just now? The time that you have, the books that you want to read, and I want to hear your story.
It's like retirement should mean something unique to you, right? Like there was a dude on Twitter that was like, he said that you need more, he can't retire with 12 million or 10 million or 12 million. And I was like,
really?
What world are you living? Like, how could you like if you can't retire on $12 million, like you should seriously evaluate, your situation, because that is an enormous amount of money for anybody. And, so I think some people can retire with much less than that. It just depends on what you want. But I mean, for me, retirement means, getting up every morning and going to bed every night, and in between just doing whatever you want to do. Just having that freedom, right? That to me is like what I wanted to do with retirement. And retirement is just all about freedom, being financially flexible. Free is free and flexible. I mean, you don't need to work. And people sometimes get bored with retirement, and that's kind of unfortunate because, it's just, some people just need to be busy. Right. And they need to be engaged with something. And some people are just, they're happy working, and that's fine. But for me, like I can be happy because I'm just really curious. I love to learn. I'm never bored. I'm always doing something. So it's a little bit easier for me to be retired, even if I don't have like one thing that I'm focusing on, because I'm always doing stuff. But at some point I would like to kind of jump into something like possibly a YouTube channel. I'm still kind of like,
I saw it
slacking off there. So I'm just kind of, I'm in a transition period where I'm just trying to kind of like figure out what my next steps are. I'm okay with stepping into the void and just not having a plan. And some people just need a plan with everything they do. And people get panicked. They panic if they don't have a plan. Even if it's something as trivial as like, just traveling, right? And not knowing which hotel you're going to stay at or whatever. Some people just really get, they get anxious about it. But for me, I'm just really comfortable with uncertainty, and, it's fine. And I left Google in 2015. I just walked away, and there was a golden handcuff situation where I wasn't sure if I would make that much money again.
Yeah.
But I stepped into the void, and I just kind of like didn't really have a plan. I knew that I wanted to kind of retool and kind of shift the focus of my career a little bit. And that was like the most productive year of my life. And, I learned a ton during that 1 year, but not everyone can do that. People just need to, people love to have certainty. And if you're one of those people that needs to have certainty and planning, you shouldn't go all in on Tesla, or, you should just diversify point.
Diversify and just follow the textbook also for a bit of certainty. It's good. That's good. I mean, so besides your big project on YouTube, potentially, have you thought about writing books or going on conferences or, speaks to school? Have you thought about, are you okay with traveling, or traveling will be a big one that this COVID-19 thing is over?
Yeah, I would like to do some traveling. I've already done quite a bit of traveling.
Yeah, you did some road trip, didn't you? Yeah.
Actually, not yet. I was planning on doing that. I still might do it. But I'll probably do some traveling. I'm not too big on traveling and just like consuming and doing the tourist thing. It's just not for me. I like to kind of build things and learn things. So I'm okay with just staying put and just, learning stuff. But So
good. Great stuff. I really enjoy your meaning of retirement. It's just, that's what I needed to hear as well myself. And I'm sure that's what a lot of people at 39, 40, 45 wants to hear. It's just not the typical textbook. 65, you retire, get a nice watch.
And there's a lot of, if you go on YouTube, there are a lot of people that have these digital nomad lifestyles. So that's something that people can explore as well. Sometimes just traveling the world, you can live more cheaply than you can, if you just stay in your expensive city, or you have a mortgage and a house, and and you can do it with a family too. And actually might be a great way to get your children exposed to other cultures, and maybe you can even get a second passport for them. There's a lot of opportunities. People think that the digital nomad lifestyle isn't for them because they have their family and obligations, but actually might be a great choice. And so
good stuff.
We're living there's so many opportunities available. It's almost overwhelming what you can do now. I mean, we have just the world is getting smaller, and
definitely
move to Bali or Belize or Puerto Rico, and you can save money in taxes if you want to do that, or you can buy a house for it just, there's a lot of alternative lifestyles out there. Just choose one that works for you, try things
for you, enjoy.
I had a conversation with my 90-year-old great aunt the other day. And, I asked her what advice she would give just in general. And she's like, just try stuff. Like, just get out there, do things. Don't be afraid to try new things. And I think that's like pretty rock solid advice. A lot of people are afraid to try new things. They just live every day. Every day is the same.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. Do you feel that, it's a good question here, trying new things, when you were younger in your 20s and now you're in your late 30s, do you feel that it's easier to try new things when you're older, or when you're easier? Because I've got friends who love to try new things when they're younger, but once they hit past 35, they tend to slow down. How do you feel about it? Are you the opposite, or do you want to try new things as you get older?
Yeah, I mean, for me, some people like to try things when they're young. They can do it when they're broke. They can do it when they're broke. You can travel very cheaply and go travel. But for me, I always knew that I wanted to work really hard and just make money first, so that I could do those things a little bit later in life. I mean, not when I'm like an old man, right? Because then you're not really healthy and you can't really enjoy your life that much or as much. But I wanted to kind of pay my dues first and just like get that compound interest machine running, the compounding, right? Being able to invest early. So the earlier I worked, the more I made early on I knew that would compound over time. So I was targeting like my late 30s or, early to mid 40s. That was when I was hoping to be kind of financial free and so I had a goal of becoming a millionaire by the time I was 30. And I just bombed that. I wasn't even near a millionaire by the time I was 30. So, that was my focus, was just to like, just get that compound interest machine going, investing as much as I could, just plowing as much of my earnings as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. That's a key one. I mean, folks, you're listening. I mean, to Jason here, I think investing is not about picking the right stock, but it's also the saving and hard grafting to save the money. People think that investing is picking the right stock, but I think investing is about saving your money, then picking a stock. I think that's the misconception. Thank you. Tricky question coming now for you, Jason. I mean, if you were to write a book today and somebody will ask you, summarize 3 steps on how to retire early, what would be your 3 steps? Sorry to put you in the spotlight, but can you think of something?
Yeah. Man. I think the first thing I would do was I would do is just understand the power of compounding. The power of compound interest. It is so important to understand this. This is actually a step towards retirement. Like it's not just a thing that everyone should do. It's like literally like it's like the first step you should understand. Just spend a day. Like you have to open up a spreadsheet. Maybe do a little bit of research on how compounding works, if somebody's not familiar with it, and just try to figure it out and just try to come up with some, create a spreadsheet with some, different starting principal amounts and different salaries, so that maybe the salaries go up over time and you're getting a certain rate of return, and play with those numbers. And you should have something should click in your head. You should realize that, you should have an epiphany that this is super, super important to understand. And if you don't understand it, you're not going to become a successful investor. I mean, you really have to internalize it and just be able to kind of understand how, over time that principal multiplier becomes, kind of exponentially more weighted towards your early investments. And you really have to kind of internalize it, So the next step I would say I would do. So that's step 1, is understand compounding.
Yes.
The importance of investing. And then the next step is you have to acquire skills and invest in yourself, learn a lot, kind of build up your skill stack. And for whatever job you're getting into. And, I was an engineer, so I had to learn a lot of languages and systems and things like that. So I just constantly learning all the time.
Good stuff.
And then that, so you have to kind of, maybe you can start a business that's a great way to generate earnings. But for me, if you want to be an employee, move to the right city too, where they do pay high wages, like, Austin or Palo Alto or something like that. Check out, the university 4-year programs. Like I'm not a big fan of these days. I wouldn't if I were an 18-year-old, I don't think I would get a degree. I think I would just I would go to Lambda school or some kind of, self-taught coding thing. And just start trying to build stuff, create a GitHub repo and start writing code. And that's what I would do. And, maybe if you could get into a STEM program, it's still worth it, something in the STEM, but if you're doing anything else, I wouldn't do it. Just, develop your skill stack, learn as much as you can, become a great asset to your employer. Just I wouldn't depend too much on here's another kind of tidbit. Promotions are very difficult, and a lot of employers don't want to promote you. It's very hard. So it's easier to move laterally across either teams within an organization or different organizations, like switching companies every couple of years rather than staying at the company for too long. So that's a great way to increase your income because just the promotion process is kind of fraught with issues, especially at big tech companies. So it's really hard. And it's very political. And if you're not somebody who's very assertive, or you're not very, you're not kind of able to maneuver politically, it's difficult to go up the traditional corporate ladder. So it's better to move laterally either within that organization by switching teams or different companies, and you'll get paid your fair wages. So that's another tidbit. That's a great way to increase your income. So that's number 2 of 3 for the retirement. So the first one was understand compounding. The second one, get your W-2 earnings as high as possible. And then the third one, of course, is just buy and hold. Buy as many equities as you can, as much equity as you can, and just sit on it for at least 10 years. There's a guy named, at least 10 years. The sweet spot, according to Peter Lynch, is 6 or 7 years. But that was in the 80s. And I don't know, Peter Lynch has amazing fundamental advice, but you got to take all this advice with a grain of salt, because that was a long time ago. We're not investing in real estate. We're not investing in Walmart or Sears anymore. We're investing in Tesla and all these other companies. So so just invest. Save as much as you can and invest. And there's a guy named Naval, Naval, like Naval on Twitter.
Yeah.
So it's his Twitter handle is Naval, Naval.
Okay.
He has a pinned tweet called "How to Get Rich," and it's amazing. I read that every couple of months. But the key idea is that you're never really, you're not going to get rich by renting out your time. You must own a slice of a business. You must own equity to gain your financial freedom. And he's absolutely right. There's no way you can ever be wealthy just by income alone from your earnings, because you can't scale yourself through leverage. You can only achieve leverage by owning a piece of a business, whether it's your own business or stock in a company. So that's really how that's important to understand as well.
Yeah.
And so once you understand compounding and you're making as much as possible, then it's time to invest. And it comes down to just being in the right place at the right time, like understanding, moving to Austin or Palo Alto or one of these places, getting in on, networking, talking with people, finding the opportunities, be an insider, right? Yeah. So if you live in Silicon Valley, you're going to know which companies are kind of have the good engineers and which companies are kind of like the B players and the C players. So you have to be kind of an insider.
Wow.
So that's another kind of thing to look at.
Wow. Gold as well. Thank you very much, Jason. That's
sure.
It's a very good 3-step with details and experience sharing and I have to follow Naval as well. And wow, that's really good. I'm gonna do a mini segment on this 3-step video just to share.
Cool.
Thank you very much. I mean, you getting to where you are just now, it's not by accident. I've watched all the interviews with the Korean YouTuber, with Dave and everyone else, what you've shared, and I read all your tweets. When I first saw it, I thought it was an accident. He got lucky. But then when I got into the detail and understand your background story, it wasn't like accident. It sounds like you have planned this. I know you said planning wasn't, but it sounds like you had an idea that you're going to be in this situation. Like Warren Buffett said when he was 7, he said he knew he was going to be a millionaire. So I could see. So I just want to extract a bit, especially for parents watching this. Was there a particular subject education that helped you leverage to where you are just now to be a stock picker or to understand Tesla technology? Was there an education that you had? What was it, maths or science, or was it a particular subject that actually helped build that basics in your brain of yours? Is there anything that when you look back that was besides compounding? Is there anything else so I can share that with my kids?
Yeah, I would say kind of try to instill a sense of independence in your kids. Don't helicopter them. Don't try to give them too much assistance. Let them kind of do their own thing. Let them make mistakes. Let them fail. And it's just like when I was a kid, I played a lot. I played a lot with friends. I didn't study as much as I probably should have. I wasn't really a great student. I was like a C student because the only thing I did pretty well in was math. I knew that was important. It made sense, but but I wasn't like a consistent A student with math. I was probably like a B student, but I was like, that was the one thing that I thought was important. Everything else, I kind of, I didn't really understand the point of a lot of my education. And, I just feel like early on, I spent a lot of time kind of building stuff with my dad or hanging out with my friends. We would experiment with things. Like I remember building like pipe bombs when I was in 8th grade, with my friend's dad's gunpowder. We would make our own pipe bombs. And it was, we would ride motorcycles with my dad and my brother and our friends. A couple times a month, we would go up to Hollister Hills in California and ride motorcycles and get injured and we would race, just taking risks, right? Being independent, like kind of don't, so many people grow up with an algorithmic life. Mark Manson talks about this, where you're from the time you're born until you're 18, or even when you're 22, your days are planned for you. You know, you have to go to class, you go to every period in your class, you have to study, do your music lessons, and just every hour is planned for you. And then when you graduate college, you're just like shoved out into the real world, and no one is looking out for you like they were before. And so if you didn't live so much of an algorithmic life when you were a kid, you're going to be able to handle the uncertainty and all the chaos of adulthood much easier. And so that's kind of how my life wasn't as algorithmic as, say, a lot of my friends. Some of my friends did really well in life, but others just kind of had, like they had this strong algorithmic life where maybe when they're pushed out into the real world, they didn't cope with that as well. So I think that giving instilling a sense of independence in your kids is probably good. I don't have kids, so that's a big disclaimer. I don't have kids.
But you seem to pretend if you know when you have kids, you know what to do now.
I don't know, but it's just something where, your kids should be very, independent-minded, independent thinkers, think for themselves. They shouldn't be listening to authority and obeying everything that they hear from teachers or their parents. It's healthy to rebel. It's healthy to kind of, so stand up for yourself.
Okay. Good stuff. I'll share it in my Audrey and Oscar, my kids, and they are also Tesla shareholders as well. So I'll definitely share it with them tomorrow morning, Great stuff. Is there anyone that you looked up to when you were young? Was it a historian, or was it a real actual person that you met, or was it a sports personality? Is there someone that you looked up that you thought that actually changed your life, that actually drove? It could be anyone, like it could be Michael Jordan, it could be anybody, For me, it was like Michael Jordan because of his work ethics, Could be Brian later on in life. I mean, was there anybody that you looked up to that actually pushed you virtually?
Yeah. Well, I think I did sports growing up, and that really helped me. I think sports is a great thing to do growing up because it's kind of humbling. It's like one of these things where you realize at a young age that no matter how hard you practice, how hard you lift weights and try, and there's going to be somebody better than you, and that's kind of a humbling thing. Just being able to accept that is good. So I had coaches that were really great mentors, and had some good teachers as well. But as far as looking up to people, I don't remember any public figures in particular that I looked up to. But I think it's also dangerous to look up to people because people are flawed. There are, like, you can have people that have these incredible ideas, but then you find out they're like, they're a cult leader in the 70s and they did some weird orgy thing. It's like, you don't really know, right? Like, so it's just I think it's dangerous to look up to people too much. I almost don't like to use that phrase, look up to people, but I think everybody has interesting ideas. Yeah. And some of these people can be horrible people. You can actually learn from everyone. Yeah. So I feel like it's, I'd say that I look up more to ideas than the people. And that's what I do admire. There are a lot of people who are admirable, but I just don't really look up to them like they're some kind of god or something. So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's true. Don't look them in a cult figure.
Good. If anybody, I mean, of course, Elon is an incredible person. Elon's not perfect. He's got some issues just like everybody else.
Yeah.
He's got but he's just one of the most incredible human beings. I'm blown away by Elon.
Our generation.
He's an amazing person. I also like Richard Feynman. He's a famous physicist, Caltech physicist. Yeah. He just passed away a long time ago. But there definitely have people I look up to, but I don't like to use that phrase.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. That's good. That's a very good point. I mean, like you said, you've got no kids, but lots of viewers. I've got this from some viewers. I asked my Discord, so what would you ask Jason? And he says, if Jason had kids, would you invest your kids' Tesla stocks today? Because I know you invested in Tesla back in 2013, 14, 15. I mean, if you've got kids today. And
would I invest on behalf of my kids?
Yeah. What would you buy? Would you be Tesla or would you be something else? So
maybe I mean, yeah, I think if I were to rephrase that question, it's like if I were just a new investor and I was looking at buying stocks, would I still buy Tesla? Is that kind of like the question? Yeah, absolutely. I think Tesla is still just way undervalued. I think it's worth significantly more than it's priced at today. I mean, SpaceX is also something where if that ever goes public, which kind of doubt, but that would be an incredible opportunity. Starlink is a huge one. Pretty much any of Elon's companies, I would definitely invest in. And then ARK Invest. I would look into those. It's hard to get specific investment knowledge because I think investments are paired to individuals. Like there's no good overall investment. There's no good absolute investment that that anyone can recommend. It's whatever people are capable of holding. And some people just cannot hold Tesla. Some people are just meant to just be bond investors, right? Exactly. It's just people are paired with certain equities or assets. So I think it depends on people have to figure this out for themselves. Anybody who recommends specific investment advice, I don't think is worth listening to. It's just, you got to figure this out on your own. Nobody's going to look after you. Nobody's going to look after your finances, but you. And, even when I make recommendations to my family, right? Like I'm always wary of just making specific recommendations because if you lose money, they're going to call me and give me hell about it. So there's a little bit of covering your ass where like you don't want to be, so people just have to take control of their own finances. And that's the only way they'll get a kind of acceptable rate of return. And some people don't really want to maximize returns. They just want to preserve wealth. So that's another type of investor, right? It really depends on the individual.
And the individual. That's really, really good. That's really, really good. It's all down to your experience and where have you been or your background or
there's a good investment for everybody. There's a good investment for everybody. So it really depends on who you are. So
it's very meaningful. Because for me,
go ahead.
Sorry, you speak first.
For me, I'm a 30-year-old. I was most of the time investing in Tesla. I was a 30 something year old, pretty high skilled tech worker. So if things went to hell with Tesla, I could still make a pretty good income and kind of still be okay. But if you're a 60-year-old retiree and you have no prospect of going back to the workforce and you have very little money, like going all in Tesla just doesn't make any sense. So
that's a very, very, very good point. Very good point. That's really, really good. Wow. I was just saying that really moved what you're explaining about every investment is different. Because for me, I studied electronics engineering. I had a choice. I like NVIDIA and ARM. I like the semiconductor stocks because that's where I was brought up. That's where I learned. That's where I started soldering PCB boards and everything. And when I was in uni, I met I don't know if you know this company called ARM Processing, the company that NVIDIA was going to buy. So I met the founder of ARM back in uni, and he studied the same uni as me. So I always knew Sir Professor Robin Saxby. He came and spoke to me. So that inspired me. And I always liked the semiconductor. So I felt attached to it. So when ARM got bought over by NVIDIA, that startled me. That felt like that was my Tesla stock, But obviously, it's quite hard to convince people that I believe in a stock so much. But I think what you explained just now really opens up that a stock is really tailored to every individual. So that is very special. I find it very special. So thank you very much for that, Jason. Oh, wow. Very good. Very good. So for I've taken a lot of your time, but I really want to get to the last part about Tesla and its recent volatility, especially today. It dropped to about 550 or something. And on my Discord, on my group chat, people are going suicidal. Because there are lots of new investors, And I recently released a video as well on YouTube. But me and my daughter, we're still buying in the dips, and then I get trolls now saying that you're gonna break your daughter's heart because she's not gonna go to college because of you investing in Tesla. I'm going, this is our story, troll. So I'm sure the fans listening out there want to hear about your views on Tesla volatility, because to me, I think like Chicken Genius, Chicken Genius?
Oh Chicken Genius, Singapore.
Singapore.
He's awesome.
He valued Tesla at $3 trillion in 2024, 2025. So for me, I valued Tesla about $2 trillion with, maybe a bit more conservative, but I value it $2 trillion by 2025. I mean, what's your take on volatility and valuation for future for Tesla? I just want to hear your views about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of different from a lot of the hardcore Tesla bulls because I've actually never busted out a spreadsheet and tried to do a forecast or long-term prediction of Tesla stock. Like to me, it's like, it's not that I don't care. It's just that it's going to be wrong. Like whatever I do is probably going to be wrong. It's almost like a kind of, I think that sounds about right. It could be a couple, 2 or 3 trillion by 2024 or 2023. That sounds realistic to me. It may take a little bit longer, but I think Tesla is underestimated it's overestimated in the short term, underestimated in the long term for everything, for their products, for the stock price, autopilot, everything follows that fundamental truth of like, things are overestimated in the short term and underestimated in the long term. So I think people's short-term predictions are going to be way over, they're going to overshoot, but then the long-term, I don't think people see what's coming. I think it's going to get a little bit nutty with Tesla in 10 years. There's going to be a lot of revenue coming in and the margins are going to be really good. So I mean, I don't know if that answered your question, but I think it'll be, that sounds about right. It could be a couple trillion by 2024, 2020 something.
Yeah. Do you personally, I think that Tesla's energy sector for their, the battery storage and supply to build this, I feel that it's very undervalued, maybe because I'm biased coming from the oil industry. And then, we are actually feeling threatened by Tesla if they actually go down that route. That because, I work on a premises where we've got offshore platform getting gas out of the ground. But if Tesla is going to go down this route of supplying mass battery everywhere, lots of oil and gas people are going to lose their jobs. So that's my fear. Do you see that? Do you see that as a huge area, or do you prefer the robo-taxis and self-driving sector of Tesla growing bigger in the next 5 years? Which one do you see sprouting more?
I think they're both going to be just ridiculous opportunities. I'm a little bit more cautious on the full self-driving side and on autopilot. I think that there's going to be, but I think in the long run, it's just going to be way bigger than anyone realizes, even the biggest bulls. I think it's going to be an enormous impact on society. But in the short run, there's going to be this long tail of issues. I'm a little bit more pessimistic on anything in the next year or two, because there's also this hurdle of regulation, and there could be a major accident that
derail them for
so I mean, we're living in an age where politicians do not have appetite for risk, and they think that for example, during COVID in New York, I think one of the politicians was like, we're not going to accept a single death or something like that. And now, so what are they going to do? Shut down all the businesses? Just because they're not willing to, it's just like, there's no real calculated risk. It's very, so I feel like if somebody dies from using autopilot and it's all recorded and it's really horrible and everything, that's a big risk. And I feel like I would rather have Tesla take its time in rolling things out. So but for the energy side, back to your question, I think that's going to be, they really dependent on how quickly they can scale, 4680 cell production. And, so we'll see what happens in Berlin, with that and also in Austin, of course. But so I think that depends on just how quickly they can scale their battery production. And that a lot of that includes raw materials as well. And, so
good stuff.
Securing those.
Those and just get the basis ground rolled up. But
I mean, the energy market is bigger than the auto market, I think, pretty, way bigger. I don't know about the overall transportation sector, but, we're talking about $10 trillion markets or more for transportation and energy, like huge total addressable markets. That's one of the reasons why Tesla is so exciting, because it's going after these TAMs that are just bigger than anyone, they're like the biggest TAMs in the world. And that's why I think Tesla's a once in a 50-year company. I mean, there are no bigger total addressable markets than the one Tesla's are going after. And if Tesla can, get in the lead, it's so they're not going to be overtaken. To Andy Grove talks about strategic paradigm shifts, and to overtake a leader, you need to have something that's 10 times better. If somebody has dominant market share, right? So it's, DuckDuckGo can be, the search engine DuckDuckGo can be a little bit better than Google, maybe even twice as good as Google, but it's not going to displace it because it's not 10 times better. And it's not going to overtake Google. People are just used to using Google. So to displace Tesla once they're in the lead, it's going to take an enormous amount of innovation that I don't think anybody is capable of.
I can imagine. Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, you're a man of skills, and you've got skills, experience, personality. Have you considered working for Elon Musk? Did you apply for the job when he was?
Yeah. I applied for Tesla. Oh
26 guns. Was it 26 guns? 26 guns.
What's 26 guns?
Remember, Elon tweeted that he was looking for 25 guns. He was looking for 25 members to work on a special project, and he got a personal email on Twitter. I mean, have you tried applying for Tesla? Have you applied for Tesla?
I applied in like 2015, and I couldn't even get an interview. Like I was, there. It's really, I think maybe it just wasn't a good fit for that particular role that I applied to. But I did apply for SpaceX, and I got pretty decently far in the interview process at SpaceX. But Tesla, I just wasn't a good fit at the time. Tesla would be an amazing place to work. I'm retired now. I'm retired from the corporate world. Doesn't mean I'm just retiring absolutely, but maybe. Like I think if I moved to Austin, then I could consider it. Because a lot of the jobs, if you look at the job openings, they're opening up a ton of jobs in Austin right now.
Good stuff. So never say never.
Tesla's an amazing. Tesla's an amazing place to work. I think. I'm told this by people that I know who work at Tesla. It's just like, people are very mission driven. They're very passionate. They're, if you're a Tesla employee and you own Tesla stock, I would take full advantage of of that program they have, where they can, I think, put up to like 15% of their compensation into buying Tesla stock. Just maximize that and just hold that 15%. Forever. Like I think it's something like that. 10 to 15% of their income, they can buy Tesla stock with that, or have it. I don't know how it works exactly, but there's some special program that they can acquire more stock in. I think I would just never sell your Tesla shares, no matter who you are. Just hold on, and hold on for at least 10 years or more. It's a great investment. So
good stuff. I will share it with my kids, guys on the channel. I'm going to put a snippet like this. Hang on for 10 more years. And investment, you need to hold it for 10 years, or else it's not called a long-term investment, is it? It's not 10 months. Oh well, Jason, thank you very much. I've used up all your time today, and I've got a lot of you, a lot of really, really wisdom, wise words from experience, books you've read, people you've met. And thank you very much for your time. And I'm sure you guys listening to this podcast, video on YouTube, find it really inspiring. And, remember to tweet Jason, not to follow you, not tweet you. We have lots of people to follow, reply. And Jason it's really inspiring on Twitter. So Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Enjoy.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed that video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Please press the bell button. Ding dong. Finally, watch the recent video up here. Bye bye. Bye bye.